Amid an uptick in violent crime nationwide, the homicide rate increased by nearly 30% in the first year of the pandemic. And now major cities are experiencing a wave of smash and grab robberies in which brazen flash mobs are targeting retailers across this country. And New York Congressman John Katko says the rise in violence has become a Homeland Security issue. He's here, back with us now here. Congressman, good to have you back here on the show. Help us put it together here. Your quote is a result of leftist criminal apologist policies, and that is why we're seeing what we're seeing with the uptick in crime. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, TJ, thanks for having me back. And listen, what's going on in this country over the last couple of years is we've become almost apologists for criminal conduct, at least what we perceive to be lower level criminal conduct. And, you know, many cities have initiated through DAs that are just sending out statements saying we're not going to prosecute crimes if you steal less than $1,000. Criminals aren't stupid. They know exactly what they can do to push the envelope, and they're doing that. They're doing these organized smash and grabs because they know they're not going to be held accountable. And you couple that with what they've done to a lot of police in this country, and because of the conduct of a relative few members of the police departments across this country, they've really kind of made it much more difficult for police to do their job. And there's an anti-police sentiment as well. And it's all playing out on the streets now when you're seeing this unbelievable rise in violence, an unbelievable rise in murders, and an unbelievable rise in criminal conduct that's very brazen.
Congressman, tell us how you legislate your way out of this uptick in violent crime. What can Washington do?
Well, I'm head of what's called the American Security Task Force, and that's my job to come up with some solutions. You know, we give a tremendous amount of federal dollars to states. We can't dictate what states do with their laws, but we can say that, look, if you want funding going forward, you're going to have certain standards, certain criminal standards. You're going to have to agree to enforce your laws. You're going to have to agree to have police departments that are well-functioning and well-trained, and everything from racial sensitivity to body cameras. We can do all those types of things, and we're going to do that going forward. That's going to be some of the foundational recommendations of our report.
Now, we're not going to get too much into the specifics here, but you do acknowledge, or where do you find the balance with some, communities wanting to do away with some of the, I guess, lower level, or stop prosecuting some lower level crimes because some of the lower level stops have led to major issues, have led to even the deaths of men and women of color for these lower level stops. So that some of that went into it. Do you find that there needs to be, and throw in resources as well, and the court system being backed up? Do you acknowledge that we do need to find some kind of a balance here?
Oh, there's no question about it, and that's why I said, you know, we need to have racial sensitivity training. We need to have training for these police officers so that they can not only become police officers and keep their jobs, but to do their jobs effectively. And a lot of the issues that have arisen over the last few years are the results of a few amount of police officers, but they are issues that are very serious and need to be addressed. For example, in Minneapolis, when you go back to the Derek Chauvin murder, which was a touchstone for all of this, why was he still on the force? He had multiple prior major disciplinary actions, and they teamed him up with a guy who was on the force 2 days. That's not a good police department, and they didn't have good standards, and we got to hold them accountable and let those standards be strong. But at the same time, we can't just say to criminals, listen, if you're, go and steal stores up to $1,000, anything you want from a store up to $1,000, we're not going to prosecute you. That doesn't work either, and that's why you're seeing the chaos you're seeing on the streets now all over this country.
Congressman, you've said that China will be the single biggest threat to U.S. interest in the next 50 years. We heard President Biden yesterday announcing a diplomatic boycott to the games in Beijing in just a few months. You want to take it a step further and boycott the games altogether. Why? And what else do you think needs to be done?
Really, what we called for about 10 months ago, I did, is to move the games. We don't want to punish the athletes, and we don't want to have them caught up in the politics of what's going on. But the reality is that China is engaged in a genocide of almost 3 million of their people, called the Uyghurs. They're in concentration camps. They're forced sterilization. There's murders. And they're being forced to do slave labor and make products, some of which come to the United States. On top of that, China's the largest state sponsor in the world of cyber attacks, and they've had major cyber attacks even this year against us. And China wants to really basically dominate the world, and they're executing that plan, and we need to stand up to them. They are a very bad actor on the world stage right now, and what they're trying to do in the South China Sea and what they may do with Taiwan, and if they decide to go into Taiwan, for example, our supply chain issues are bad enough now. Wait to see what happens if they go into Taiwan and lock up the production of computer chip manufacturing worldwide, which Taiwan has about 80% of that market. So there's a lot of very serious issues, and we need to take them serious with respect to China. And I applaud what the president is doing by doing his diplomatic boycott, but I think it's a half measure. We need to go the full way.
Well, but the full way, you do acknowledge, though, I mean, the chances of the games being moved or being canceled. I mean, do you see any pathway for that happening?
I don't know going forward, but listen, I want to make it clear. I applaud the president and his administration for taking the stand they took. At least they've done something, and at least they're acknowledging about the genocides that are going on over there and acknowledging China's bad conduct. And I applaud them for that. And listen, it's a start, and we need to continue to do more to get tough with China.
New York Congressman John Katko, we appreciate you coming back to the program. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your time.
Anytime. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.